Welcome back to Steve and Abby English. I am Steve, and I am so incredibly glad you are here with us today.
And I'm Abby. A huge thank you to everyone returning for another episode. We really love hanging out with you guys every single week.
Today, we're talking about something literally everyone struggles with at some point. Building healthy habits that you can actually keep.
Oh man, this is my ultimate everyday struggle. You know that feeling when you wake up full of energy, ready to conquer the world? And by the time night rolls around, all that motivation just completely disappears?
Oh, absolutely. It is the classic trap. You tell yourself all day long, I am going to bed early tonight. No excuses at all. I need a solid 8 hours of sleep to function properly.
Yes. But then it is suddenly 1 in the morning and you are just glued to your phone screen in the dark. It is like your brain totally forgets every single healthy plan you made that morning. The screen just magically ruins everything.
We have all been there. And before we get too deep into our own embarrassing habit stories, I want to mention something super helpful for our listeners. If you are trying to build a habit of practicing English every day, you need the right tools. Sometimes we speak at a totally normal native speed, and you might miss a few words when we talk about these daily routines.
That is so true. It might feel challenging at first to catch every fast phrase, but that is completely normal. Do not be hard on yourself. Listening takes real muscle memory, and muscle memory takes time. That is exactly why you should download our free full-text transcript.
Exactly. You can find the link to the free full-text transcript right down in the show description. Having the exact text in front of you helps you follow along easily, so you do not get frustrated and give up on your learning routine. It is a total game changer for picking up these casual phrases naturally.
Seriously, go grab it right now. It takes away so much pressure. You can just relax, listen, and read along whenever you need a little extra support with the vocabulary.
All right, let us jump right into today's first real talk. Abby, I know you have a pretty funny, highly relatable story about trying to realistically build the ultimate morning routine. Do you want to kick things off for us today and set the scene?
So, a couple of months ago, I was spending my weekend lying on the couch watching way too many lifestyle videos online. You know those influencers who effortlessly wake up at 5 in the morning, drink a complicated green smoothie, and do an hour of intense yoga before the sun even comes up?
Oh yeah, the classic perfect internet morning routine.
Exactly. Well, I was feeling super inspired. So I decided I was going to magically become one of those people overnight. I bought a brand new notebook and wrote down this massive list of healthy habits I wanted to stick to every single day. I was going to wake up at exactly 5, meditate in complete silence, write 3 pages in my journal, and make homemade oatmeal from scratch.
Wow, that is a massive change. I actually tried forcing myself to wake up at 5 once, and I was basically a walking zombie at the office by noon. It is incredibly tough to adjust.
It really is an awful adjustment. But surprisingly, on day 1, I actually did it. I was feeling so incredibly proud of myself. I was sitting by the window, drinking my fancy herbal tea, watching the sunrise, and genuinely thinking my entire life was permanently fixed. I really thought I could keep it up forever without any issues.
That is classic day 1 energy right there.
Totally. However, day 2 was significantly harder. When my annoying alarm went off, it was still pitch black outside. My apartment was freezing cold. I was just lying in bed, staring blankly at the ceiling, wondering why I was voluntarily doing this to myself. But I threw off the heavy blankets, pushed through the tiredness, and did my morning yoga routine anyway.
Wow, good for you for trying that hard, honestly.
Thanks, but the success did not last long at all. By day 3, my poor body was totally crashing. I was completely exhausted. My system was in absolute shock from the sudden drastic change in my sleep schedule. I finally dragged myself into the cold kitchen at around 5:30, barely keeping my heavy eyes open.
That honestly sounds like absolute torture to me.
It really felt like it. I was standing by the stove trying to cook my supposedly healthy breakfast oats, and the water was taking way too long to boil. Suddenly, I realized I was just glaring at the pot, feeling weirdly and intensely angry at the oatmeal.
Wait, you were genuinely angry at the breakfast oats? That is hilarious. I do the exact same thing when I am severely sleep deprived. Everything just makes me ridiculously irritated for no reason.
Yes, I was so insanely mad at those innocent oats for absolutely no reason at all. I honestly felt tears welling up, and I started crying a little bit right there over breakfast. It was completely ridiculous. I realized right then that I was trying to do way too much, way too fast. I hit a massive wall and started to burn out by the 3rd morning.
That happens so incredibly fast sometimes.
It really does. I was just entirely overwhelmed. So I literally dumped the half-cooked oatmeal straight into the trash can, marched right back into my bedroom, pulled the covers over my head, and slept until my normal time. I completely gave up on the whole elaborate plan because it was just totally unrealistic for my real everyday life. I definitely needed a much simpler routine.
Hold on. Before we go any further, I want to pause the story. You just used some really great everyday words there. Let us get right into our first Real Talk breakdown. Welcome to our first breakdown. We are looking at 3 excellent phrases Abby just used: stick to, keep it up, and burn out. These are incredibly common when we talk about personal habits and goals. Instead of focusing on complicated grammar, these everyday phrases help express feelings. Let us start with stick to.
Yes, I said I wrote down a list of habits I wanted to stick to. Instead of saying adhere to or rigidly maintain, we casually use stick to. Think of sticky tape or glue. You want your new healthy habit to firmly stick to your life. It feels much more casual and friendly.
Exactly. When you naturally use stick to, you sound much more human and relaxed in everyday conversations. It definitely does not sound like a rigid textbook phrase. For example, I try to stick to a strict budget when I go grocery shopping, but I always buy way too many expensive snacks.
That is so relatable. Another everyday example could be, it is super hard to stick to a workout routine during the dark winter months when it is freezing outside. I always skip the gym.
Great example. The next important phrase is keep it up. Abby, you said you genuinely thought you could keep it up forever. This phrase is all about maintaining an action over a long period. Imagine you are holding a heavy box up in the air. Keeping it up takes continuous effort.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. It can feel really challenging at first to learn English, but you just have to keep it up. Do not ever be hard on yourself if you miss a study day. Muscle memory takes time, and we all struggle sometimes.
That is wonderful advice. It is a very encouraging phrase. For my simple example, I would say, you are doing such a great job with your daily English studies. Just keep it up.
And for my example, I might say, my energetic dog has been behaving so nicely lately. I really hope he can keep it up.
Perfect. Our last everyday phrase is burn out. You mentioned you started to burn out on day 3. We use this when we push ourselves way too hard and completely run out of energy. Think of a lit candle. Once the wax is entirely gone, the fire dies.
Yes, it happens when you just have absolutely nothing left to give. For example, if you work 60 hours every week without resting, you will definitely burn out quickly.
Exactly. My example is, she had to take a vacation to the beach because she was starting to burn out at her stressful job. Using burnout instead of saying, I became severely fatigued, makes your English sound much more natural.
Okay, now that we have got those important words down, let us look at the flip side of the coin in real talk too.
So, my embarrassing story is basically the exact opposite of your aggressive morning routine. I have this terrible, ongoing habit of staying up way too late. A few weeks ago, I was feeling super exhausted at the office every single day of the week, and my coffee was not helping anymore. I firmly promised myself I would start going to bed by 10 o'clock every night to get back on track with my health.
That sounds like a solid plan.
Right? It sounded so unbelievably perfect in my head. I decided I really needed to cut back on my evening screen time. My solid plan was to turn off my television completely, leave my phone charging in the kitchen, and just read a physical paperback book in bed to quietly decompress from the long, stressful day.
I absolutely love that cozy idea. Reading before bed is a great way to disconnect.
It really is the absolute best feeling. So, on the very first night, 9:30 finally rolls around. I made myself a warm cup of sweet chamomile tea, carefully brushed my teeth, and climbed under the heavy covers with my book. I was feeling so incredibly mature and responsible. I read about 10 pages and naturally started feeling wonderfully sleepy.
Perfect. It was actually working.
Exactly. But then, an absolute disaster quickly struck. I suddenly remembered I desperately needed to set my early morning alarm on my phone. So, I walked all the way into the freezing kitchen, picked up my phone just to set the timer, and unfortunately, I saw a bright notification for a video. I foolishly told myself I would watch 1 single minute.
Oh no, Steve. That is the ultimate late-night trap. Once you pick up the phone, it is game over.
It truly is game over for your precious sleep. I leaned against the cold kitchen counter and started watching this fascinating video of a guy silently building a wooden cabin deep in the forest. It was strangely calming. When that long video ended, the algorithm immediately played another one about a guy quietly cooking a massive steak on a rustic campfire.
Those outdoor survival videos are always highly addictive for some reason.
They really are dangerous. Suddenly, I realized I was no longer standing in the cold kitchen. I was sitting comfortably on the living room couch, completely wrapped up in a warm fleece blanket, staring at my vividly glowing phone screen in the absolute dark. I had unfortunately fallen right down an endless, chaotic rabbit hole of random internet videos.
That is so completely relatable.
I finally checked the digital clock at the top of my screen, and it was suddenly 12:30 in the morning. My relaxing chamomile tea was completely freezing cold on the wooden bedside table. My physical book was just lying there completely ignored. I had entirely failed my new relaxing evening routine on the very first night because I simply could not stop doom scrolling.
12:30? Wow, you completely sabotaged your own healthy sleep plan. I do the exact same thing when I try to unwind. The screen just easily pulls you right back in.
It really does pull you in so quickly. I obviously woke up the next morning feeling even more completely exhausted than the day before. I quickly realized that keeping my distracting phone anywhere near my bed at night was a terrible, awful idea. If I really want to successfully cut back on screen time and finally get back on track, I have to literally lock my phone in another room overnight.
That is such a totally different vibe from my energetic morning failure. But wait, I definitely heard you drop some very interesting phrases just now. It is time for our second Real Talk breakdown.
Welcome back to the breakdown. Let us look at 3 fantastic phrases from my sleepy kitchen disaster. I used get back on track, cut back on, and decompress. These are absolutely perfect for talking about fixing your daily routine. Let us start with get back on track.
Yes, you said you firmly promised to get back on track with your health. This just means returning to a good, positive routine after making a mistake or taking a long break. It is exactly like a train returning to its safe rails. Instead of using a boring, formal phrase like resume a previous schedule, we say get back on track.
Exactly. It paints a much clearer picture in everyday conversation. It might feel challenging at first to use these colorful idioms in real life, but that is completely normal. Do not be hard on yourself. It just takes a little practice, and muscle memory takes time. For my everyday example, I really need to get back on track with my daily walking habit after being sick all week.
That is a great example. For my example, I would say, it took me a whole week to get back on track with my chores after my long holiday. The second phrase is cut back on. You said you decided to cut back on your evening screen time.
Right. This phrase means you want to do less of something, or use less of a certain thing. Usually it is something slightly bad for you. It sounds so much more natural than saying, decrease the consumption of. For example, I am really trying to cut back on drinking sweet soda during the long workday.
I probably need to do that too. My everyday example is, we need to cut back on ordering expensive takeout food every single weekend because we are spending way too much money. It is a very common personal goal.
It sure is. Our final word today is decompress. I said I just wanted to read a physical book to quietly decompress from the long, stressful day. This means releasing pressure or relaxing after a hard time. It is much better than saying, relieve accumulated tension.
Oh, I use this word all the time. It is perfectly okay if it feels a bit strange to say at first. Your mouth just needs to get used to the shape of the new word. For example, playing casual video games for an hour really helps me decompress after a hard college exam.
That is a very healthy way to unwind. For my simple example, I like to go for a quiet run through the park to decompress after a really loud family gathering. We have covered some great expressions today, but there are a few sneaky traps you need to watch out for. Let us jump into common mistakes and make sure you do not get them wrong. Now, let us talk about where people usually get this wrong. These traps are common, so do not feel bad if you make them.
So true. Let us look at our first common trap. A lot of students say, I want to stick on my new habit.
Yes, I hear that one all the time. But the fix is, I want to stick to my new habit. We use to instead of on.
Exactly! The reason why is simple. Think of gluing two papers together. You stick one piece to the other piece. You are attaching yourself directly to the goal.
Perfect explanation. Our second common mistake is with burning out. People often say, I am working too hard. I am starting to burn off.
Oh, that is a tricky one. The correct fix is, I am starting to burn out.
Right, and here is why. We use burn off when we talk about exercising to burn off calories. But when your energy is completely gone, like a candle, the flame goes out. So you burn out.
That makes total sense. Our third mistake involves reducing bad habits. People might say, I need to cut back my screen time. They forget a very important little word.
Yes, they do. The fix is, you must say, I need to cut back on my screen time.
Totally. Why do we need that extra word? Because when you name the specific thing you are reducing, like sugar, you always need on to act like a bridge connecting the verb to the noun.
Great tip! Time for our rapid review. Do not say stick on, say stick to.
Do not say burn off, say burn out.
And do not say cut back my time, say cut back on my time. And that is how you use them in the wild. But how does that compare to what you learned in school? Let us check out textbook versus real life. Welcome to Textbook versus Real Life. Remember, textbook English is 100% understandable, so do not be hard on yourself. It is totally fine to use.
Absolutely, but we want you to sound natural. Here is our first example. Steve, what is the textbook way to say you are tired?
I am very tired today.
In real life, we say, I am completely exhausted today.
Using the word exhausted shows that your battery is entirely at zero. Here is number 2. I stopped doing my plan.
In real life, we say, I gave up on my plan.
Gave up is the most common casual way to say you finally quit trying something. Okay, number 3. I want to sleep early tonight.
In real life, we usually say, I want to go to bed early tonight.
Native speakers almost always talk about going to bed instead of just saying sleeping early. Number 4. I looked at my phone for a long time.
In real life, we say, I was glued to my phone.
Saying you were glued shows that you were completely stuck and could not look away. Finally, number 5. I woke up very early.
In real life, we often say, I was up before the sun.
Being up before the sun creates a much stronger, more interesting picture of your morning routine. All right, you have heard us talk enough today. It is time to build that muscle memory. Let us jump into the shadowing practice. Before we begin, here is a highly effective quick pro tip for you. Hit the pause button after you hear each sentence and bravely repeat it out loud at your own comfortable pace.
Exactly. Do not rush it at all. Just focus on the comfortable sounds. Our first sentence today is all about fixing your healthy routine after taking a long break.
Listen and repeat. I need to get back on track.
I need to get back on track.
Moving on to the second one. Use this when you want to reduce a bad habit safely.
Here we go.
I really want to cut back.
I really want to cut back.
And our final expression is for when you need to relax after a very hard day.
Listen and repeat.
It is time to decompress.
It is time to decompress.
Great job today. You did wonderfully with that practice. Let us wrap things up with some final thoughts. Today's main lesson is simple. Do not try to change your whole life in one day. Start small and build habits slowly.
Learning English is the exact same way. Some days will feel very slow, but every time you show up in practice, you are moving forward. Stay consistent, stay curious, and trust the process.
Hit the like button. It only takes 2 seconds and genuinely helps the channel reach more learners just like you. And subscribe for new episodes every week.
For our community question, what is one healthy habit you want to build? Leave your answers in the comments below.
Thank you for your time. Click the next video to keep leveling up your English.